After 58 years, it's time for Star Trek to abandon its oldest multiverse concept. When Star Trek first warped onto television screens in 1966, it wasn't just boldly going where no show had gone before. It was also quietly laying the groundwork for one of sci-fi's longest-running tropes, the multiverse. Long before Marvel and DC turned parallel timelines into a cinematic goldmine, Star Trek was experimenting with mirror universes, alternate realities, and divergent histories. But after 58 years, the franchise's oldest multiverse concept, the mirror universe, has begun to feel less like a bold experiment and more like an overused crutch. For a universe dedicated to infinite exploration, Star Trek has ironically become trapped in its own reflection. It's time to look forward. It's time for Star Trek to boldly go beyond its oldest multiverse idea. The origins of the Mirror Universe. The Mirror Universe debuted in Mirror, Mirror, a Star Trek, the original series episode from 1967 that quickly became a fan favorite. Captain Kirk, Uhura, MC Coy, and Scotty find themselves beamed into an alternate reality where the benevolent Federation has been replaced by a brutal Terran Empire. Spock wears a goatee. Starfleet officers assassinate their way up the chain of command. The Prime Directive has been replaced with Imperial Conquest. This was daring stuff for 1960s television, a dark, satirical reflection of Star Trek's utopian ideals. It worked because it was shocking. Watching the Principal Kirk confront a universe of ruthless doppelgangers was more than just fun. It was a moral test. Would our heroes compromise their values to survive? Would they find a way to plant seeds of change? The episode was so iconic that it shaped Star Trek's future multiverse stories for decades. It also introduced a basic formula: same characters, darker world, moral contrast. By revisiting this template again and again, Star Trek created one of its most recognizable concepts: how the Mirror Universe became a franchise staple. After Mirror, Mirror, the Mirror Universe went dormant for years, returning with a vengeance in Star Trek: Deep Space Nine. There, across 5 episodes, we saw how Kirk's original mission to plant seeds of change had inadvertently helped spark a rebellion in the Terran Empire. In DS9, the Mirror Universe wasn't just a one-off thought experiment, it was serialized world building. We watched a ragtag alliance of Terrans, Klingons, Cardassians, and Bajorans fighting for power. We saw familiar faces twisted into new roles: Kira as a sadistic despot, Bashir as a grizzled resistance fighter, Sisko as a smuggler. At first, it was thrilling. The Mirror Universe gave DS9 writers freedom to explore moral ambiguity without tarnishing the main timeline's characters. It allowed for bold deaths, shocking betrayals, and unpredictable alliances. But by the 3rd or 4th visit, the concept began to strain under its own weight. What had been a shocking subversion now felt like a playground for mustache-twirling villainy. This pattern has continued. Enterprise devoted an entire 2-part episode in a Mirror Darkly to a prequel version of the Mirror Universe, complete with its own opening credits. Discovery made it a centerpiece of its first season, revealing that Captain Lorca was a mirror defector. Even the animated Lower Decks has teased Mirror Universe hijinks. And yet, for all its appearances, the Mirror Universe has changed little. The Terran Empire rises, falls, rises again. Heroes become villains, villains become heroes. But the moral lesson, our universe is better, remains static. Why the Mirror Universe no longer works. The problem isn't that the Mirror Universe exists. It's that Star Trek keeps treating it as its go-to multiverse story rather than evolving it. In the 1960s, a dark reflection of humanity was provocative. In 2025, when grimdark storytelling saturates TV and movies, it's just not special anymore. Here's why the Mirror Universe has lost its edge. 1. Predictability. The Mirror Universe used to be shocking. Now, audiences know exactly what to expect. A Terran Empire, evil uniforms, goatees or eye patches, and our heroes' darker counterparts. The novelty has worn off. When fans can predict the beats of a Mirror Universe episode before it airs, the concept stops being storytelling and becomes fan service. 2. Stagnant morality. The Mirror Universe was originally a commentary on the Cold War, imperialism, and authoritarianism. But Star Trek rarely updates its message for modern issues. The Terran Empire is still a cartoonishly evil regime. Imagine if the mirror universe tackled corporate exploitation, climate collapse, or algorithmic tyranny instead, something that actually reflects today's dark mirror of the Federation's ideals. 3. Narrative escape hatch. Because the mirror universe exists outside the main timeline, it gives writers an easy way to kill off characters, rewrite rules, or stage shocking twists without consequences. But that safety net undermines stakes. It's hard to feel tension when you know the real characters are safe in another reality. 4. Competition from other multiverses. In an era where Marvel, DC, everything everywhere all at once, and Rick and Morty dominate the multiverse conversation, Star Trek's mirror universe feels quaint. These franchises have pushed multiverse storytelling into surreal, emotional, and meta territory. By comparison, Star Trek is still playing dress-up with evil twins. Beyond the mirror, what Star Trek could do instead? Abandoning the mirror universe doesn't mean abandoning multiverse storytelling altogether. It means rethinking how Star Trek approaches alternate realities. The franchise has always been at its best when it uses sci-fi concepts to explore philosophical or ethical questions. The multiverse should be no exception. Here are a few ways Star Trek could evolve beyond its oldest multiverse concept. 1. Quantum possibilities, not just opposites. Instead of the simplistic, evil twin universe, Star Trek could explore timelines shaped by subtle choices. What if the Federation never formed? What if Vulcan, not Earth, led interstellar diplomacy? What if the Borg became a force for good? These what-if scenarios could reveal profound truths about identity and history without relying on cartoonish villainy. 2. Fractured realities colliding. Other franchises have shown how compelling it is when multiple universes overlap rather than remain separate. Star Trek could depict a crisis where quantum realities merge, forcing crews from different timelines to work together. This would create moral and logistical dilemmas far richer than a simple Federation vs. Empire showdown. 3. Personal multiverses. Star Trek episodes like TNG's Parallels, where Worf slides between timelines and Voyager's Shattered, where Janeway moves through her ship's fractured history, hint at more intimate multiverse stories. Imagine an episode where a character confronts multiple versions of themselves shaped by different decisions, not just an evil self, but a regretful self, a triumphant self, a broken self. 4. Consequences that last. Part of why the mirror universe feels disposable is that it rarely affects the prime timeline in meaningful ways. Star Trek could change that. A crossover that permanently alters the Federation, or a character who stays behind in another reality, would make the stakes real. 5. Fresh aesthetics. Visually, the mirror universe is stuck in a rut of dark corridors and fascist uniforms. New multiverse stories could embrace radically different aesthetics, alien geometries, post-scarcity utopias, or entirely non-human civilizations. This would align with Star Trek's mission of exploring the unknown. The deeper risk, nostalgia as a trap. Part of the reason Star Trek keeps returning to the mirror universe is nostalgia. It's comforting to revisit an idea that worked before, but nostalgia can be a creative trap. As Star Trek expands on streaming platforms, the franchise risks becoming a self-referential echo chamber,